Hi, Michael from Stay in Touch. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you very much. How's everybody doing?
Very, very well. Very, very well.
Good.
As you have seen, we are already in the middle of the episode, and there has been a very hot conversation about the creative revenue management. Now we want to discover your pitch. I don't want to steal time. So as always, you will start with your pitch, and then we will go with Q&A. So I see that you have already shared your screen. So for now, you have 50 minutes.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. This has been a super interesting discussion. It's been a great joy just to be a part of it. I've learned quite a bit. It's been a great discussion about how we see the industry evolving, which is something that obviously at Stay in Touch, we spend a lot of time thinking about and really focused on how we can help be a part of that evolution. And I think what we wanted to spend a few minutes talking about today sort of fits very cleanly into what a lot of the focus of this discussion has been. I come from a marketing background and we sort of think of the world in terms of the 4 Ps of marketing. And I think quite often revenue management focuses really only on the pricing and promotion sort of components and misses the first P in the 4 Ps of marketing, which is the product piece itself, right? And really how, as hoteliers have been forced to be more creative, one, I think how good that ultimately is for the industry, but two, sort of really reimagining what exactly does a hotelier sell, right? Traditionally, we've sold 20 hours of room access, right? If we think about it sort of in terms of traditional check-in and check-out times, you get a hotel room, you get it from 4 p.m. to 12 the following morning. That is your asset, right? Is the asset that is being monetized by a hotel. There have been a lot of great discussions throughout the past hour and a half about subscription models, about co-working spaces, about evolution of the physical asset itself. And this is where we think technology can really revolutionize the way that we think about revenue management, in that we aren't just pricing and promoting our product, but we're being, I think the word you all have used and I really appreciate is agile in how we define exactly what our product is and allow that product to shift, right? If we've learned anything through the past, 18 months now, it is how important flexibility is, right? It is that we don't know exactly what our customer needs, and what our customer needs can change at the drop of a hat, or with a simple announcement, as we just referenced. And being able to adjust to that and adjust and operate on the fly is more critical today than it's ever been. And that's why we look at our property management system not just as a property management system, but as we jokingly refer to it, as a property monetization system, which is how do we actually look at redefining our product in the way that will help us maximize how we monetize that asset given market demand as it exists today, right? And Stay in Touch was founded on this vision, which has made sort of reacting to this place in time a lot easier for us. Rather than being built on a day, we're built on 24-hour individual blocks of inventory. So you can sell any room or any definition of a room for an hour a day. This works great for transient location. This works great for city centers. It's obviously a huge benefit at airport hotels, et cetera. But that's changed now, right? As we re-envision how we monetize our hotel, this also allows you to sell conference rooms or leverage individual spaces, right? We've got very creative hotel partners who are using this to sell private dining opportunities, to sell access to day beds, right? To sell pool lounges. All of those things can be inventory managed through a really robust property management system and then can be monetized however you desire to do that. Whether that's packaging it with the room product or whether that's selling it individually. There was a great discussion earlier about becoming a hub for your local community. Well, this is a great way to do that and monetize those opportunities, is leveraging your assets in unique ways to, vary what your RevPAR can look like as you start to think about that going beyond this available room concept. So this is something that's been sort of core to our vision since the founding of Stay in Touch, and I think has become all the more relevant as the market has sort of continued to adopt and evolve here. In some ways because we were forced, and in some ways because hopefully that's where we were going anyways. To take advantage of that takes a really integrated connectivity model, right? To be able to sell, not just create this inventory, you need great alignment between PMS, CRS, RMS, your CRM, all of our favorite acronyms. But all of these different tools have to speak to one another in a way that allows you to actually capture the monetization opportunity that exists. And so that's been a critical focus of ours as well, is helping to move the market along in the ability to actually distribute and monetize flexible assets, and to do so on an hourly basis, and to be able to price and promote, right? As we do move into those critical areas, be able to do that on a more unique definition of what an inventoried asset looks like as we move towards monetization. The other thing I quickly wanted to touch on is, you guys had a great discussion earlier about upselling and making this sort of a core part of the training and development of staff and resources. One of the things that we've found to be very, very successful in upsell is really giving the guest control, right? If they are allowed to optimize their own experience through integrated guest mobility, through the way that you define and make available monetized assets, your upsell ability goes way up. I mean, we see up to a 240% return on this through automated upsells. And a lot of it is because the customer is driving it. They aren't feeling pressured into making certain decisions. They're just able to react to what their desire is in any given time. One of you was just talking about just going out and buying the first class ticket because you don't want to risk, right, not getting your upgrade on your flight. This is the same process, right? It's allowing them control and to choose what they want in a setting that allows them sort of the comfort of the control being in their hands. So you can define your assets exactly as you want to sell them as the hotelier, and then allow the guest to choose what the perfect fit is for this unique instance, right? This is about, as we talk about customer lifetime value, a lot of that comes down to responding to the individual moment. When I travel for business, my desires are very different than when I travel for leisure, or very different than when I travel with my family, which is work leisure, right? And being able to respond in real time, it's great if you know me. It's better if you just ask and let me answer. And so building a system that does that, we think is really optimal to maximizing revenue opportunities through great product definition and great product access through a fully customized and integrated technology stack. So I think I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the presentation. And yeah, that was really interesting. I'm sure that there are many questions. Who would like to go first? Thibault, please.
I have one, yeah. Thanks a lot, Michael, for the presentation. A great one. I know STAYNTOUCH, so I actually like your PMS, so I will not put you on the spotlight like the previous one did.
Thanks. The latter kind of brutal there in the last one.
Yeah, no, but I believe there is a big trend nowadays everywhere on staff shortage, and we are lacking a lot of talent in the hospitality industry. What is your approach to automation, and could STAYNTOUCH and other modern PMS and their automation could be an answer to the staff shortage, or do you think it could be an extension of the team? So what's your approach to automation?
Yeah, that's a great question. And as you said, I think a very critical focus area for the hospitality industry in general right now. I think we really look at this from two different perspectives, right? And one is maximizing our human capital, which has been a critical focus of ours all along, which is the more intuitive a system is, the easier it is to train on, the easier it is to use. We think the more value you get out of your human capital, right? So if one person can now do the function of 2 or 3 people, that is a great thing, right? Our tagline is be unburdened. We think of hospitality as the more we can unburden staff in the simplest of models, which is right, because we're fully mobile and tablet driven, you don't have to have a front desk at all. That frees up resources to not just stand behind a desk and wait for guests, but you can now greet a guest, you can carry a bag, you can help deliver drinks, right? You are free to unburden the way that you deliver hospitality. So we think sort of maximizing the value of your human capital is step one in that evolution. It allows you to bring in new talent. You don't need people who understand legacy systems. You can bring in people who are just great with people, right? Allow hospitality to really shine because your technology is empowering that rather than sort of restricting the way that you interact with guests. I think the other side of that, automating tasks and especially automating communication is really critical. And this is also where we think our mobile technology is really important, because it can do things like auto assign what rooms need to be cleaned based on pre-assigned check-in schedules. And those alerts can be immediately directed to the mobile phone or the tablet that your housekeepers are carrying around with them, right? Same for the way that food can move throughout the hotel. Same with the way even that you plan for check-ins and check-outs to make sure you're not overlapping rooms, right? You can redo auto assignment at any time. So we do think that a lot of that capability, primarily around communication and how communication moves through the hotel, is really critical. If we can unburden staff so we can maximize the benefit of the human capital we do have, and we can improve data flow and communication, we think that you can just do a lot more with a little less and really make sure that your staff is focused on creating the guest experience. You guys had a great discussion at the beginning of this about guest experience. That's really where we want to live, right? Is to make sure that everyone that works in your hotel is focused on how to create the best guest experience, not how to check the right box, right? Not how to make sure that your reporting is all configured. That stuff just needs to work so that the people can focus on the people, right? And really be about the guest. That's certainly our approach.
Fantastic. That's really key. That's really key. So we still have time for at least another question. I'm not sure if Sergio, Ellie, I see that you are moving, or Leonard as well.
Yeah, I have one actually on the 24 blocks a day of inventory.
Yeah,
I think it's a great solution. But is it a solution to a problem that isn't there? Because, yeah, I kind of like the concept, but our hotel is ready for that, to sell rooms for 8 hours or 4 hours? Or do you see a large demand for it?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. I'll be honest here. I don't think that the market is totally ready for it yet. We have individual hotel partners that use it very well, right? That literally run at occupancy that in traditional terms would be over 100%. This is especially true at airport hotels. It's a problem that they've had to deal with for decades regardless, and primarily had done it manually before there was technology that enabled this to be automated and to align all of staff operations around this concept. I think that it is of varying value. We're starting to see a lot more hoteliers use it in more creative mechanisms. So we've got a hotel on the East Coast here in the US that uses it for defined reservations. They'll actually assign access to their premium restaurant through the room and then carve out that you get 2-hour block of dinner reservations with your room. So people are starting to use it in much more creative ways. And we see hoteliers that design their entire sort of hotel concept around the idea of flexible stay. So while I don't think that the industry as a whole has gotten there, and certainly part of that is a technology problem, right? A lot of the distribution tools can't handle this yet. Some of the revenue management tools can't fully handle this yet. So we think the industry is going to go that way, right? Which is, how do we maximize the value and flexibility of our room? Because it also makes early check-in and late checkout much simpler. It doesn't change the reservation. It just simply tacks an hour on. You can charge for those individual hour blocks, which we're seeing a lot more of our hotels do, which, right, you can say, sure, you want a late checkout, you want to check out at 4 p.m. That's 4-hour blocks. Each of those blocks costs, $8 extra. You're going to pay for that $32 of 4 extra hours. So we're seeing people use it in maybe more creative ways than originally was intended, which was just, you want to do a day stay, you need an office to work in before your flight out of New York, and it's easier to do that in a hotel room, take a quick shower, right? Those things are happening, but we're starting to see people get much more creative in the way they use this. And I think that's just a snowball that will continue to grow. We're certainly, ahead of where the market is from a usability perspective, but we like creativity, and you're starting to see a lot of hoteliers get very creative in the way they use it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. And I would like to pick up this question from the audience. They said, with Opera, Oracle also got into cloud. How do you stand against them? And with this occasion, I would like to ask you, we have just had 30 seconds to ask you if you can just list 3 strengths of your tool. Why we should, choose your tool? Which is your strength and your USP?
Sure. Yeah. Rather than rather than speak negatively about any of our competitors, I'll speak, I think, positively about our system. So, I think what's the most unique about STAYNTOUCH is that it was actually architected in the cloud, right? So it's not a platform that was migrated into the cloud. It was actually built directly within AWS, right? So it operates on a cloud premise. It's architected specifically. That brings tons of benefits in the way that we do data orchestration, in our ability to meet specific country requirements for where data is managed and transferred, right? PII benefits, all sorts of benefits on being actually cloud architected. I think the flexible room definition is a very critical piece of our inventory. The ability to define assets however you want, right, in a customized fashion, because we're not physically tied to your location. You can move those things around, and we can actually give hotels the ability to do that. And I think finally, the value of the 24-hour blocks of inventory, the fact that, again, we're architected on that. We didn't build it as capability. It's how the system actually functions, allows hotels to get very creative in how they choose to use that, not just for day stays, but as I said, for things as simple as like, I want early check-in or late checkout. I can actually monetize that process. And even if I don't, I can calculate the value back to my guests. So if I have a rewards program, I can literally tell you in dollars how much value you just got by me being able to allow you early check-in, late checkout, because every one of those assets is actually monetized. Right. So I think that those three things, the cloud architecture, the flexible inventory management, and the 24-hour blocks of time are really sort of our three critical differentiators. And all of that is wrapped up in what we think is the most intuitive and user-friendly application in the industry.
Fantastic. It's fabulous. Thank you. And for all the audience, if you would like to stay in touch with all our guests, of course, you have LinkedIn, you can contact them. And I want to also take the occasion to thank also our panelists, so Leonard, Ellie, Thibault, and Sergio. And now we have the session of masterclass. Probably Sergio will stay with us, but yeah, I want to thank you, all of you, for the discussion, and for also to Michael to present your pitch. So we move to the video to find out the masterclass.